You got Microbes in my top Hat Willy. It's Amigos, everything Amiga. Hi everybody, welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're going to be talking about Microbes and Top Hat Willy on Public Domania.
Oh, you know, these are always gold, Boat.
Aaron, what is it about? Now, I don't think we've ever actually talked about this. Did you use a lot of public domain software when you were with the Amiga?
Hell no. Are you? Well, that's not true. Dadgummit. I was going to badmouth public domain software, but I did. Because I was in the Software of the Month Club for years.
Where was that out of?
It was out of a mail order catalog. It was out of the mail from the back of like an Amiga world. Mm-hmm. And every month you would get a different set of discs, sometimes 1 or 2 discs, sometimes 3, with different software and demos and stuff on them. I was in it for years, and I kept all my discs all these years, and then I had the full collection almost, and I sold them, and I made good money, hundreds of dollars off these discs, and it was just discs. So yes, I guess I did use it, but it was always disappointing. Put it that way.
I think there's different views on public domain software. Some people see it as sort of cheap rip-offs of commercially released games. Other people see it as the spirit of the free and open source movement. You know, taking it right to you're cutting out the middleman. No publisher. You get paid direct. Send the $3 to my home address. That side of things.
Yeah.
Where do you fall in this argument?
Listen, I can only tell you the way I looked at public domain software, which was free games that almost always were crap. That was fun. And really, most of my public domain stuff was on the DOS PC. Mm-hmm. But on the Amiga, it was probably a better crop of public domain software.
I was going to say, you're lucky enough to have really grown up with computers. You've had computers from several generations.
That's right.
Was there any sort of public domain scene that you knew about on, say, your first computer, like the TRS-80 or the Coco? Or
yeah, there was. There's a public domain scene, but it's old. It's not as big. Really, public domain to a certain extent was stuff you typed in would be considered public domain because you're typing it in. So for the Coco, for the longest time, you just get the magazines and type it in yourself, and it was never that great, you know. But I know some people probably are real super romantic about it. Maybe they found some hidden gems. Now, the Amiga's public domain scene is a lot better than any of the other ones I've been in, and probably because we've played a ton of games on here. We've found a bunch of games in public domain that we loved. The last show we did, we found a couple we loved. And we got this show. Even stuff like Deluxe Galaxy, I think you could get that in the public domain form.
Yeah.
So there were plenty of good public domain titles on the Amiga, I think, but there may have been some on the PC, but I didn't play as many on there. So there's that. And plus, there were game demos were like a real big deal on the PC. Stuff you get off the disc on PC Gamer, and so usually I would migrate toward that stuff.
How much of the stuff on the PC side? When you get a disc, would it be public domain versus just straight up demos of commercially released games?
Well, depending on what you've got,
because it seems like these days, of course, public domain doesn't even exist anymore.
I guess it does. You got to think, PCs went through an interesting revolution, DOS-wise, before in early Windows, and that's the revolution where Doom came out, the Apogee stuff. All of a sudden, you're downloading something and it's not crap. You're playing something that's actually cutting edge, and you would you got to think something like a Duke Nukem. That's a game where you play the whole first world is there for free. You can play, then they get the money off to getting you buying the rest. That's a heck of a bargain, So ultimately they ended up catching up. But when you bought stuff like a PC game or something, the CD mostly had demos on it.
Okay, that's what I figured, because it seems like the Amiga, you have the Fred Fish collection, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's another platform that has something akin to that at the level that the Amiga has. Do you think that it's possible that the Amiga has the most well-developed public domain software?
Fred Fish was a big deal. In fact, it's funny you should mention, because I hadn't thought about this for a long time. One of the only reasons I was ever interested in getting a CD player for the Amiga was the fact that you could get the whole Fred Fish collection on a CD. And I remember thinking to myself, holy smokes.
Right.
You got it all if you have the CD. I I don't recall. I'm sure there are named collections on DOS and on Windows, but I don't know them. Because I wasn't as heavily entrenched in that scene. The Fred Fish discs, though, I mean, they're still around, and people still talk about and remember them fondly. So clearly, there's a lot of gems in there. But yeah, it's nice. I will say that is one of the advantages of the Amiga. It had a real, fleshed out public domain.
Yeah. So we're going to get to 2 of those games in just a few minutes. But first, Aaron, let's take a deep dive into this week's Amiga news.
Amiga news.
Campbell Train.
Now, Aaron, this first story isn't necessarily Amiga-only related, but I saw this pop up. I think LGR did a thing on it. This is called the USB 4BC. And this is a new device that is currently being kickstarted that allows you to use USB keyboard, mouse, and gamepads on vintage computers, and it's got a modular setup. So this is one of those things where you're switching in and out various boards, and the thing that it's promising is very low latency. This is something that you might use on an old IBM ATXT type computer. In fact, that's what we're seeing right here. Historically, it's been sort of on the difficult side to use USB controllers with things like this. Obviously the DB9 to USB solution has been around forever and a day. You famously made one of those devices.
Yeah.
But this is something different. This is going to give you more connectivity to things like classic Macs, old IBM computers, and stuff like that. What do you think about this? Does this tickle your fancy at all?
I watched this on LGR myself. I can understand the need for it. If you're okay, let's back up for a minute. I've got a Pentium grade PC. Okay, Pentium 1. All right. It has USB support. It's also got slots that I've got USBs on, and I've rigged it up to not only accept USB drives in Windows 98, but in DOS. Wasn't that tough? All right. And you've got your choice of keyboards. I can easily so for anything, I guess, from that era on, like probably I'm trying to think when USB came in. Probably 486s may have had them. I can't remember, but Pentium certainly had them.
Sure.
And so you're looking at hooking it up in terms of the PC world, anything from there back. Okay. To me, I'm not that interested in it because I don't use anything that old. All right. That much said, if you do, it's quite a boon. There's no doubt. It's an awkward looking little unit. It is, what'd you say, modular?
Yeah.
It's got a bunch of weird, you can plug different stuff into it. I mean, if that's your bag, I don't know what they're, do you have an idea what they're, I know they're Kickstarter, but what do you have they announced the price on?
Absolutely. It's 48 pounds. 48 pounds, that gets you the baseboard and the ADB thing, and the ADB, of course, Apple Desktop Bus. That gets you, so if you want to connect this thing to a Mac, it gets you that. If you want just the baseboard only, it's 25 pounds. Looks like there are several of these around the 50-pound mark tier.
Yeah.
That gets you, the 59 pounds gets you the PC card that you plug into it. $88 gets you both of those plus the baseboard. So it looks like that they're mostly gearing this toward the classic IBM compatibles and the Macintosh, the ADB.
So here's the way I look at something like this. For a boutique item, which it is, those prices aren't double gouging.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay? Now, I suspect that after they get out of Kickstart, the double gouging prices will linger, come around. Those aren't bad, all right? The fact that it's modular is, I don't know. I'd rather have a Swiss Army knife than have to put the various parts on the knife myself. So I'd rather pay $100 for a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I can see it both ways because for a lot of people, they are all in on the IBM PC, especially this new crop of retro gamers that have grown up watching LGR that idolize these old, machines.
As I recall, you also have to have a Raspberry Pi for this, and they're not giving those away.
No.
And I know that doesn't come with.
Right.
So that you're gonna have to pay that price as well. So now you want to hook up your USB keyboard, or I mean, I saw the LGR guy was gleefully giggling as he does. Playing with his PS4 or PS5 controller. That's dandy, but who cares? I mean, really, you can do a lot of crazy stuff. Is it something you're going to do that much? Probably not.
I think that I can see this more on the keyboard and mouse side than the game controller side. I know that lots of people like mechanical keyboards, and like mechanical keyboards just not an option on the Macintosh. There was no Model M.
That's surprising to me.
They've always been just the regular switch keyboards, and so
the Macs do have this crazy. They have a proprietary plug.
Well,
right?
these can't go with the original, like the phone jack mics. You got to go all the way up to the SE30. I think was the first ADB. I'm sure somebody's going to correct me on that, but it was not the original Macs. You're one generation ahead to get the ADB port.
What do you think the Amiga functionality of these would be? I mean,
well, the problem is that there's already solutions like
right.
this for
That's
the Amiga.
I was going to say we've already got the ability to use USB stuff.
Right.
And
so
whatnot.
I don't see this thing really branching out past these two particular computers, but I can see this venturing into console land. What if you could hook up, say, like a PS5 controller to your Atari Jaguar? That's a bad example because that's DB9. But
you
pick something.
You
pick something
never.
wacky.
You could never. How about because the Jaguar has that keypad on it
Right.
that they use, so you couldn't really do anything.
Maybe like the Vectrex or something.
Now, doesn't
like
this
that.
give? I believe this also. I mean, this sets up your Pi as a Bluetooth device. You can hook Bluetooth to it. So if this could go into Amiga, I mean, there's something you might be able to do with it. Bluetooth.
Listen, I'm sure that eventually they're going to make these modular units for all the classic computers.
Yeah.
And if they sell these things for if they sell the base unit, to me I can see paying, because again you're in $50 for the Pi.
Yeah.
Then you're in $50 for the base unit.
$50 and try double that.
Is that what Pi's are
Pi's
going
the
for now?
cheapest
Okay.
Pi's are over $100.
Okay, so I don't know.
And
I
God
haven't
knows
looked
what
in
they're
a
going to be
long time.
now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So anyway, you're in for probably $200 just to get in the door with this thing.
Yeah.
And is that worth it to you? Well, if you're a one-trick pony, if all you care about is your classic Mac and you want to trick it out as much as you can, it's worth it.
Yeah.
But if you're like us and you sort of have everything,
We're multiple trick
right,
pony.
Right. Multiple tricks, master of.
We're going into a weird zone.
Mm-hmm.
Let's kill a minute here,
Okay.
if you'll indulge me.
Yeah, man.
And we talked this years ago, but now we talked about it coming, but now we're here, and we're in the area where you've got your classic machine that you can do anything with it, including use all the most modern I/O devices, storage solutions, the whole 9 yards, video outputs, the whole 9 yards. If you could take this thing and wire up a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 joystick to your Amiga, and you've got HDMI graphics and stuff, I mean, you're feeling pretty good. Is it good? In your case, I'm asking you, John Boat of Karshar, does having all this stuff rigged up, does it rob you of any of the sense of the feeling you had when you were a kid playing this stuff? I mean,
100%. For me, we talked before the show that I turned on the Amiga 1000 last night. I just felt like playing some games on it because I watched the 8-bit guy video on it. And there's something about using the original mouse. Well, I don't have the original mouse, but an Amiga mouse, using the Amiga keyboard.
There's something about it, all right. You want to kill yourself.
Well, I mean, does it feel as good? Now, I was using a Sega Genesis stick, so I'm not saying I was 100% accurate.
Yeah.
But watching the machine hum, seeing it come out through the Commodore 1084 monitor of 1702, and here, it seemed like it was more real. As soon as you start taking things away from the system, and I even include things like the Gotek in this, you start to lose some of the magic. Now, in some cases, it's a trade-off. I can lose 5% of the magic for what the Gotek brings me.
Yeah.
But everybody has to make the call on at what point does this cease being the thing that I liked using when I was a kid, and this is just basically something totally different.
Yeah. It's I'm halfway through the door and half not. Because when I grew up, it was such a pain in the butt to use a computer that I personally I welcome my new digital overlords. I don't want to sit through a tape loading. I don't want to necessarily use the stick that came with the machine. I like, for example, on the Amiga, I really do enjoy having a gamepad for some of the games.
One of the things, and I think that it also depends on, like, for example, the Amiga 1000. There's tons of games on there that just it's sort of still a mystery. Like, is this going to work on a 1000 or won't it work?
Yeah.
And so having that kind of mystery and firing different things up, is it something that you're going to do just as a leisurely activity all the time? No, but once in a while, it's kind of fun to go through a list of software and say, oh yeah, this loads on the 1000. That's kind of cool. If you have a 1200, you don't get that because everything works
on
the
the flip side. It's not fun to want to play a game and it's it won't load on the 1000.
Right.
This is
and then you just
or
move
the
on.
screen's jacked up on the 1000.
And then
That's
you just
horrible.
move on to your 1000 other ways to play it.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. I will say when the Amiga Mini comes, I'm looking forward to giving that joystick. I'm gonna see if I can move that into the starting rotation because that thing looks like a pretty cool looking stick. I think so. Yeah, but this is interesting. Clearly, they hit their goal. They got LGR'd big time, 30 large.
30,000, yeah.
And I suspect with 19 days to go, as this gets rotated around, they will probably double that number. Would not surprise me. So yeah, an interesting gimmick, Boat.
Now, up next, Aaron, is another fundraising project. This is of a different color, though. This is a GoFundMe page called Help Dave and Brian Uncover Commodore History.
Oh, man.
Okay, so apparently these two guys have come across a treasure trove of Commodore information over in Ontario, over in the land of Frank and his buddies at Retro Rewind. Okay, these documents were gathered in 1964 and contain information about Commodore's co-founders, including 3 days of interviews with the founders, Manfred Kapp, and 5 days with Jack Tramiel. So these are, what do these guys want to do? They want to go through and they want to archive it all. They want to save it. They want to preserve it for future generations. They're asking for some support in this endeavor. I'm sure that it is to, pay them somewhat for their time, maybe some equipment that they can use for this. They have surpassed their GoFundMe goal of $2,000. They've raised 3,828 Canadian dollars, Aaron, out of 86 donations.
Yeah.
If this sounds like it would be interesting to you and you want to fund these guys and give them some bucks, GoFundMe, just search for Help Uncover Commodore History. Aaron, what kinds of Commodore history do you think we have lurking in the basement of the Putnam County Library?
Very little. Maybe a C64 manual. Might be down there a VIC-20 manual. I'm looking at this interesting thing here. And I guess you will. Your money will also get you some sort of. Will credit you. Oh, you get some sort of credit.
Oh, okay.
In this, if you pay a certain amount. So
I wasn't sure what the deal was with the GoFundMe. If you were able to offer rewards and things like that, so that's super cool that you get a little bit of something, a little credit.
It looks like they're not asking for you to donate zillions of dollars, $10. So yeah, for a few bucks, throw a few bucks at them. Maybe they uncover something. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It'd be. I mean, if they know they've got something,
right?
Well, if they get $4,000 Canadian and they're like, "Oh, sorry,
let's go in the basement." It's like, oh, they threw all that stuff out last week.
It all went in the incinerator.
Right.
It's like, oh, we're burned.
Right.
So then it got problems. But yeah, that might be kind of fun. I expect to see something come out of this. I will say that.
Absolutely.
So hopefully they'll release something cool to the community when it's all said and done.
All right, Aaron, our next story is a spotlight on, speaking of the Amiga 1000, the Amiga 1000. So, of course, the 8-bit guy, sort of a polarizing yet extremely famous figure in the world of classic computers, has released a new video about the history of the Commodore Amiga 1000. And listen, Aaron, I got to tell you, all the sort of online drama about this guy put aside, I was a huge fan of this video.
Yeah. Listen, you can't. I mean, listen, everybody's got a thing, all right. But I will say the guy does good work on this, and I actually watched this myself. It was quite interesting. I'm flipping through this quick because otherwise the YouTube gods will come down on us with furious anger. But this is good. I watched all of his whole series. I've watched all of these. It was quite good. And he's an excellent presenter for this sort of information.
And he's created a lot of bespoke art pieces. Like when he's talking about the way the different chips work, he's actually drawn diagrams and things that explain this. So if you are, of course, obviously everybody watching the show has some idea of what the Amiga 1000 is. But like I said, this video kind of rekindled my excitement about owning one of these machines. It is super unique in the realm of all of the Amiga computers. And so I enjoyed this, and I recommend it.
Yeah, I should mention that if you watched the last International Computer Club, the 8-bit guy's Petsky or his Petsky robots, attacking the Petsky robots, that was the fellow that Curtis interviewed is the guy that's converting that over to the Coco. So that's anyway, he wrote that.
I did. That was another thing that I knew about him. I'm sort of a newcomer to the 8-bit guys. So.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would try to put away more dumb things aside when I watch these videos, and I enjoy his stuff. He's a good hand, as they say.
He is. All right, Aaron. Coming soon. Gee, this is the week for launching your Kickstarter.
Oh
apparently.
man! Now this thing's been all over the place. Holy smokes!
Aaron, there's a new mouse in town, and it's not really new because it's the tank mouse, but it's back. Okay, the
Hold on a
tank
second.
mouse.
Yes, I'm just looking at the goal here. Holy smokes!
So
That's a huge goal.
first of all, let's talk about the tank mouse.
all right,
The tank mouse, not necessarily the most revered mouse that's ever been created.
it's cool looking.
It's
though.
cool looking.
You're just making us the T-shirt boat.
But it's right there. It's right there with the hockey puck mouse that came with the original iMac in terms of
I don't
comfort.
agree with that. I think this thing's. These things were great. It's just they got old, man. I love the mouse. I like the structure. I like a big beefy hand-filling mouse. Look at this thing. Like, what is that?
That's not a big
That's
beefy
limp.
mouse. Yeah.
I want something you could beat a man to death with a throw, like a grenade.
Right.
You know, then that's what the Amiga 1000 mouse was. It was awesome.
Well, listen, Aaron, this thing might be for you then, because what they've done here is they've recreated the tank mouse. They've reimagined it.
Yeah.
And this is, of course, a 2-button mouse, but in the middle, they've taken that middle section that was heretofore unused, and they put a little invisible scroll wheel in there.
Yeah.
This thing looks like it's using the latest in mouse technology, and it's also completely Amiga compatible. So you can use this thing on your modern PC and your classic Amiga. Now, Aaron, let's talk about what they're asking for this thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what caught my eye the second we came over
Well,
here.
their goal is they're asking for a lot of money.
That's almost 90 G's.
$90,000. That's a lot of money to produce a mouse. Now, I'm sure that material costs, injection molding costs, things like that. I'm sure that maybe it costs that much. I have no idea. But the actual price of the mouse itself is not bad, Aaron.
What's it going for?
The price of the mouse itself is only 36 euro.
That's about $50. 50.
It's like 40
bucks.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you buy a nice mouse, it's going to cost you at least 40
And
bucks.
this comes
these
with
days.
a receiver that'll fit in the Amiga. Is that how it works?
It doesn't say what.
Because you said it was fully Amiga compatible. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, I was looking at the thing here, and it doesn't say exactly what I'm assuming that it will that it comes with all the accessories. It says here, tank mouse
operates under Bluetooth or 2.4 gigahertz. It can be used with your original. Let's see here. Compared to Bluetooth. For the computer, say small USB receivers included. Bam. Okay, yeah. I'm in. So I'm buying one of these. You got to have it with that scroll gimmick.
Right. I think that's
a good
super
angle.
neat. I think that's super neat. They're not asking for a lot. Like I said, the overall goal is a lot of money, but hopefully, because they've set this thing at the right price, they'll just be able to get a lot of little drops in the bucket.
I wonder if it comes with that little gimmick.
That's
if they're going to hit you up for more bucks, then we're going into the wad zone here.
Yeah, I don't.
Anybody know? Does it come with the USB and chat? If you know what it is, if you know if it comes with it for the same price, let me know. Listen, 40 bucks for a wireless tank mouse. That seems like a good deal to me.
Yeah.
The gimmick in the middle, I like that.
That's cool.
The Amiga, I like that. I like that angle. Might be worth. Now, the funny thing is, Bo, here's something most people don't know. Your boy here owns probably 5 or 6 tank mouse. I saw a guy sell them on eBay like 10, 15 years ago. He had a bulk ton of them, and I bought them all. I thought, these might be valuable to have someday. And now those tank mouse are going for halfway decent cash.
Well, I've got a couple.
Crazy.
I've got a couple at the house. I may have to.
The funny thing is, they're horrible. As you know, how many times have we tried to play like Marble Madness?
Wait a minute! I literally just said the tank mouse was crap, and you're like,
no,
it's
hold on
not
a second.
crap.
No, I'm saying.
And you also did that dance.
No one's ever done. You look like the inflatable guy that stands out in front of the car lot. I'm saying the ones from 1985 are horrible.
Yeah.
The balls all jacked up, but these don't have a ball.
Right.
Well, they're going to be better.
They're going to be better. They're going to be better. So anyway,
you're dying to kill me on this, but they look cool. I'm in.
This is all you have to do is search for Tank Mouse, your new Amiga mouse on Kickstarter. You can, and Aaron, we'll keep track of this. This still has a month to go, so in a couple weeks we'll check back in.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay, man.
Use your expert Amiga knowledge. All right,
which is vast.
You got the shirt.
Yeah.
Right? Does this thing hit the mark?
Oh, heck yeah.
You think so? 8? Look, that's
They're-
a lot of money.
Because this thing launched, I think this thing launched like
2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 days ago. So they're halfway there.
Yeah, but you never. I mean, they're not halfway there.
they're almost at 42%.
They
Man,
need 50 G's to get there.
42% of their goal.
That's a lot of money. I'm going to say they don't make it.
Well,
I
I'm an
hope they do.
optimist, and I believe in.
Are you going to get one of these for your Amiga 1000?
No, because I have a mouse that works great with my Amiga 1000.
What are you using?
Just another Amiga mouse that's not the tank mouse.
Oh, I'm going to buy one.
All right,
I like
Aaron.
it. Good. That's a good find, Bo. Nice work.
And our final story comes to us from, of course, we can't let a news segment go by without highlighting the goodness that is Indie Retro News. Aaron, there is a first test version of Wolfenstein 3D that's coming up for the Amiga 1200 by old BZ Zilly.
Sounds like a-
Zilly.
Like a rap name. or
Gangsta.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Aaron, you told me last week that Wolfenstein never really did it for you. You were when you saw this, it didn't floor you like it did when you saw.
Well, I
Doom.
mean, it's kind of fun to play, but I mean, Doom was much more impressive. You're like, holy smokes! But this was still pretty good. Would I've liked to have had on the Amiga? Oh yeah.
I had a look at this, and to me, it looks pretty spot on with the PC version. The game runs really smooth. It seemed like
you see this opening menu here. I gotta laugh. If you look at this right here, let's make sure that your Amiga has a sound blaster and an ad-lib card. The ad-lib card. God, get those out.
Here we go.
Those things. What a piece of crap those things were. I've seen the LGRs where it's like, oh my God, let's worship at the feet of the ad-lib. You couldn't give those away.
What about
back
the
in the day.
$600 MT1 MIDI enhancer add-on?
Those are no one wants them. And the thing is, because that one guy, like these things are going over like gangbusters.
Wouldn't it be great to have that sort of power?
I wish I'd kept all my old weird PC devices. I'd call him up and say, "Listen, I'll cut you in. Do a show on the Gravis 4-player joystick converter, and then I'd sell that thing for like $20,000.
That's right.
Man. I wish
That's
we
how
had
you
that
do
kind
it.
of power.
That's
but,
how you
my
do
God.
So anyway, if you actually move forward to the game itself,
I'm ranting.
You can see that this thing, I mean, look at it. To me, that looks the same as it did. It looks better than it did on my PC, because on my PC
No, it doesn't look better. No.
Why not?
I mean, just look at the way the walls are. The resolution's lower. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not crap. I'm just saying that there's a marked difference. But it looks. I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's got the FPS. Do we know what kind of Amiga 1200 this is in? Is this just a stock, or does this have like a triple Lindy card
What
in
you're
it?
going to need is the old 2 meg fast RAM, 3 megs of free disk space. You also need, this is one of those games that want you to do it right. You got to get the Wolf 3D 6 episode registered data files. So you actually have to own a real copy of the game, or do a 5-second search.
Yeah, I was going to say. I always like when they like, we can't give you the file, so it's an 80-year-old game, but
and it says that ad-lib sounds and music are not currently supported but planned. How are you going to work the ad-lib sound into the Amiga, Aaron?
Here's how you do it. I can simulate ad-lib. Go get you a kazoo. All right, get real liquored up. I just play it like that. That's how you play it. That's the game.
It's kind of sounded like the theme from Monkey Island.
And if you're playing ad lib Doom, that's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
Ad lib. I had Tandy sound. It crushed ad lib. Get that out.
Aaron, we've come to the end of the news this week.
You know, why I'm chewing up ad-lib? The Amiga crushed ad-lib. Like, I mean, people were getting excited about ad-lib. Get it out.
Yeah, the Amiga sound does crush ad-lib.
Are you kidding me? We got the Amiga? Care about ad-lib
I'll tell you what else crushes ad-lib, Aaron.
What?
That's RetroRewind.ca.
I've heard that. I heard about this guy. I heard he's the bomb, Bo. Give me the scoop.
There's new stuff coming up all the time on Retro Rewind, and we haven't really featured, his latest and greatest products in a while. So this week, Aaron, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the A600/1200 Compact Flash 2 IDE adapter.
All right.
Now, Aaron, you've had a cup of coffee with one of these things before, haven't you?
I've used not that particular one, but I have had a cup of coffee of these in the past. They were a trial, if I may say.
What this allows you to do is, of course, you connect a compact flash card to the internal IDE port on the Amiga 600 and 1200. That was, sort of the Trojan horse of the 600. For all its foibles, it did come with that internal
Trojan horse. You act like it was hot. First of all, the whole thing's good. The Amiga 600, they've made it great after all these years. But that was one of the best parts of
That's
it
what
back
I'm
in the
saying.
day.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. So now, Aaron,
In
check
your
this
own
out.
way. Yeah.
You actually placed one of these things inside the Amiga 600
Yeah.
that's currently at my house.
Not one of these, one of the uncool
Wait,
ones.
and one of the uncool ones.
Yeah.
I recall was affixed with a generous amount of electrical tape.
It was not. For one thing, it was too long. There was cable. It was an ugly, disgusting mess. Thank you.
Well, Frank has done you one better, surprisingly.
Oh
And
wow, stunning.
He says that their compact flash ID adapter is the world's first and only one, Aaron, with buffering. Okay,
Yeah.
and this separates a total of 24 signals from the rest of the system. This improves the signals and thus contributes to stabilizing the system. So if you've had bojangles going on with your Amiga 600 where things are crashed and you don't understand why WHD load won't work, and you're using one of these older compact flash adapters, what you need to do is toss that thing into the garbage and get yourself a stable solution from RetroRewind.ca.
I need to get one of those. And I'll tell you what, you're not wrong. I know you're kind of goofy, but you're not wrong. Because one of the things about these, like when you order one of these generic compact flash ID things, like you don't work. Where'd it come from? Don't know. Like, and there's all kinds of different ones. Does it gonna work? Don't know. I've had a couple that just flat out wouldn't work on the Amiga. What do you do with them? Well, you paid whatever, you trash them.
Right.
You can't do anything with them. So at least if you get one from the Frank, you know that number one, it's going to work. It's going to work on the Amiga, and oh, by the way, it's better than any of the other ones you can buy. Makes sense.
That's right. That's right. And guess what? You can get this thing for the low price of $45, Aaron. And on top of that, save yourself 10% by using the promo code Amigos10 at checkout. You can save 10% off this, off any order from Retro Rewind. We do appreciate RetroRewind.ca, and we thank them for being a sponsor of Amigos.
What a steal, Boat. It's the way I look at it. He's giving it away.
That's right. Speaking of giving it away, Aaron, it's Public Domania.
Oh, man.
They're giving these games away.
I'm not... Must we, Boat? Well, let's work. We've got 2 games this week, so let's go ahead and pick one to start off with. Let's go ahead and... The first game on the docket, if I may lead the dance
Sure,
here,
man.
We're going to talk about a little fellow called Top Hat Willy. By the way, I've got a cousin named Willie.
Really?
You know that? Yeah.
No.
You remember that M&M commercial that was out years ago? They said the guy would go, kind of look like your cousin Willie. Remember that one at the end?
Was it for 8 Mile?
No, it's from the M&M's. That was Reese's Pieces.
Oh, the candy.
Yeah.
Okay.
8 Mile.
Yeah, you said it was an M&M commercial.
Not that guy. Oh, listen, I'm not going to do shtick with you because I want to talk about Top Hat Willy. It's Top Hat Willy, Bode, from Finland. Look what I've got here in my notes, big letters. From Finland.
The other big F.
I'm not going to let the Finland folk not get their just due here.
You got to.
This was published and developed by Overflow Productions.
I love it.
Overflow. That's a good name.
It is
Released
a good name.
October 4th, 1994. And with Overflow is an outfit that's basically Tiro. I'm going to try to pronounce this boat. Tiro Heikkinen.
Yeah, I think you did a good job.
And Petri Kikkinen.
Yeah.
All right, 2 different guys.
Heikkinen and Kikkinen.
That's right.
They call them the HK.
I wonder if those are traditional Finnish names.
I'm willing to bet they didn't come up with them. They're not stage names.
I like the name Petri, and I also like the name Tero.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Tero. There's also a DOS port of this. It looks identical.
Really?
By the way, yeah. So this is a game made in Amos, the ever popular gaming programming language on the Amiga, which is another thing that was the Amiga had. That was a great little piece of kit there. So, Top Hat Willy. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is sort of, kind of based.
There's a passing resemblance
On a game you may have heard of called Jet Set Willy, which, I like Manic Miner. To a lesser extent, Jet Set Willy. This is more like Jet Set Willy. And this is a game that was really made super famous on the ZX Spectrum, although it's been everywhere. It's done everything, Bode. And so it turns out that the guys that made this were super big fans, and they thought to themselves, hey, we can make a game like this and put it on the Amiga, and lo, it came to pass, Bode, and here it is. Of course, if you've ever played Jet Set Willy, it's not what I would call full of 3D graphics and volumetric fog.
No.
It's more basic because, like I said, it mostly gained its reputation on the ZX Spectrum. And so what they did was they were like, listen, we're not going to violate the spirit of this game. we're going to basically spectrum this thing up. And so they made it a little more colorful, and they made the song substantially more tolerable.
Yeah, substantial. That's an understatement.
But pretty much aside from that, they kept with the low end graphics.
Mm-hmm.
I was also sad to notice that your extra men don't dance like they do in the other one.
That's unfortunate.
I did miss that.
Mm.
So in this game, this is a flip screen game where you gather 160 pieces of trash.
Boy, you're selling it. You're selling
right.
it.
It's not me. I'm just telling you what to do. So I'm going to read this as the verbatim of the notes. Guide Willie around his vast and very strange mansion. It is very strange. Filled with death traps and dangerous creatures such as rolling razors, bunny rabbits, and flying TV sets to collect flashing items. The flashing items, by the way, that's the pieces of trash.
Why could they just not make it pieces of trash? Couldn't they make it jewels? You know?
I don't know what to tell you.
An elixir?
I don't know what to tell you, man. So, Boat, this also has your favorite, the old room names.
Yep.
I know you're a fan.
Yep.
I think most of this speaks for itself. I'll go into more detail about the guy that made this, but what did you think about this as it popped up? I'm assuming you didn't know this was going to be a Jet Set Willy revival, because I know you're not the biggest fan of those games.
You're right, I'm not. But I knew exactly what this game was, because this is the one week that you neglected to ask me, have you played this one before? If you would have, I would have said yes. And
This
I'll tell
is
you
the
why.
1 week, because I thought there's no way you would have played this before.
This was an Amigos high score challenge
yes.
game.
In fact, the video we're watching is from that high score challenge, courtesy Z9K9. You're watching him play right now.
So I have played this one before. And this one, I will say, it does do more for me than the original Jet Set Willy, or the original Manic Miner.
I think I can guess why, but go ahead.
Well, it works for me pretty much on every level better. Number one, the music does not immediately make you want to tear off your ears.
You can turn it off on the Spectrum version.
But, I mean, it's there.
Yeah,
it's
it's double horrible.
Right, okay. Number two, the game is not as punishingly difficult from the get-go.
I agree.
Okay. Number three, the house that you're exploring, the rooms that you're exploring make a little bit more sense in terms of what they're supposed to correspond to as far as the room goes. It kind of gave me that Addams Family feel a little bit, you know, where you go in the different rooms of the house. Number five, I like the fact that there's multiple items in each room that you can collect. So you're not just trying to get through a room and go on to the next thing.
Yeah. And they use that. They know what they're doing when they made the levels like that. Yeah.
Number six, I love the fact that there is a stated objective at the beginning of the game, and there is a completion percentage of how many of the rooms that you've explored. Because guess what? Nobody's going to set out to try and beat Top Hat Willy on the first go. Okay?
I want to meet that guy. Well, holy smokes, that robot.
So, listen, when you can play this game, and the first time that you play, you get 16% of the way through, and then you're like, I'm going to fire this thing up again. And then you get 30% the second way through. You're like, man, I did twice as good. The game is telling me I did twice as good.
You didn't get those percentages, did you?
Gosh,
okay, I was going to be stunned
to
hear that.
Here's the thing, you know, being able, when the game tells you, in a game like this, a huge maze-like game, when it gives you some sense of progression, how far you've made it, that makes you feel good, and that makes you want to play it more.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think the controls are tighter on this.
Mm-hmm. Much tighter.
I think that the levels. Listen, let's not kid yourselves here. We don't want to lead the people on. This game is rock hard.
Yeah.
But it's nowhere near as rock hard as Manic Miner and certainly not the same stratosphere as Jet Set Willy. Jet Set Willy is. I mean, it's bash your face into the keyboard hard. Mm-hmm. This is still hard, but I mean, you have a shot at it.
Exactly.
This game's also beatable out of the gate, and I'll get into that in a minute. But it's beatable. Apparently, there were two versions. One that fixed a few slight bugs, but I found the game. I mean, I could only get as far as I could get, but I found the game fairly bug free. I didn't feel like I was getting screwed. This is one of those games where the level designer, you know, one of the things that I really enjoyed about Manic Miner was the fact that the genius that made that game, his diabolical brain came up with these unbelievably inventive, and I use inventive in terms of killing you, levels of the game. This I don't think Top Hat Willy is quite, at least the parts I saw, I don't think it's quite on that
Well,
level.
yeah, I agree with you.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because the other one was so diabolical that it was brutal.
Well, I think that the Manic Miner and Jet Set Willy are binary states where it's like you either fail or you get through. This game gives you a little bit more leeway in how you approach, avoiding the enemies and moving through the rooms. There's even multiple paths, of course, through the house. You can either go right or go left from the beginning.
It also, when you get something and if you die, you don't have to go back and get it again, which I like that.
Yep. To me, this is sort of like this weird synthesis of the ZX Spectrum and the Amiga. It's a weird love child, because if you look at the enemies, they're all single color, they're all outlines. It reminds me of that ultimate play the game Underworld, which actually I did that show. That was the only Our Sinclair that I did with Brent. The Brent stepped in with that one. And but this is a very similar game to the enemies that you see in Underworld. These are just, they're not nearly as annoying. This is a much better game than Underworld. But this is, it's weird. I mean, have you ever played a game that reminded you so much of a ZX Spectrum game on the Amiga?
Not right off the top of my head. This of course, this is meant to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
He knew what he was doing when he made it. This game, it's funny. Of course, like I mentioned, there's a DOS port of this. It's identical looking. This game actually has a pretty decent fan base, which I was surprised to find out. I was also, you can imagine my surprise when I went to search for video for this and our site came up. And I was like, oh, we did have a high score challenge, just like you said. I found a fan page for this. It was a guy from Columbus, Ohio. He said he beat this game in Columbus. He was very proud of himself. He also said he wrote the author, and the author congratulated him. The author worked on this. It was like a family affair. He worked on it with his brothers to get it working. He'd had a couple other games, but the big news that out of the interview that I found from him was that all but completed was a Top Hat Willy 2.
Really?
And he's got actually there. If you notice around the web, you can find screenshots of it. But ultimately, what happened was they said that the Amiga was sort of falling out of favor, and they found some bugs they couldn't get rid of, so they ultimately just scrapped the whole thing. But I mean, it was well on.
It would be great if somebody could pick that up and finish it off.
It's funny because in the interview they asked him about if he has the source code and stuff, and he says as far as he knows, all the source code's still in the Amiga discs, and so I guess someone could do that. Who knows? But yeah, I think this, in terms of what he was going for, I mean, we got to consider this is an homage, all right? So but it's still mostly original stuff. It feels a lot like Jet Set Willy, and I like it. It's not as manic either.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Oh yeah, the enemies don't move. I mean, the enemies move quick, but they don't fly like they do.
I mean, this really, if you're gonna play these games, this is probably the one you start with, and then you move to Manic Miner.
That's right.
And then if you can get past this, then Manic Miner, then you roll into Jet Set Willy, which is the King Dong of pain.
This is the kind of game that you could still make today for the Amiga and release it as an indie game. I mean, all you'd have to do, maybe you wouldn't even have to change the graphics. Maybe there's some charm in the fact that the enemies look like ZX Spectrum enemies. But you could even you could make the enemies a little bit more colorful. You can leave the backgrounds pretty much as they are. Release this as a thing on itch.io or something, and you've got something. As long as you've got solid levels, and these levels are solid, this is sort of an evergreen genre that people that love this stuff, they can't get enough of it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I'd never heard of this one. I know you have, but this is one to look up if you're into those ZX games, which God knows on our Sinclair we've played a lot of these sort of games. But this is certainly would fit right in. I think this is really, I mean, I can see why people are looking at this and be like, "This is an Amiga game." Like, screw you. And if you're a graphics guy and you can't handle the graphics and sound, yeah, move on. But if you like these single screen super hard games, I think it's a real good choice.
Yeah.
I should mention you get 9 Willies in this.
Mm-hmm.
I do also, just before we close up, I want to mention that I do like the percentage, like you mentioned. I like the fact that it tells you how many items you got left. That gives you some ray of hope,
right?
To try to beat this game. And 9 lives have never went so quickly. They will go very fast. Did we get any Discord on this, Bo?
Oh yeah. We start things off with Pajako6502. He says, "For a PD homage to Jet Set Willy, this isn't too bad. Whilst we all know that the Amiga is capable, having seen the travesty that was the official release of Jet Set Willy 2 on the Amiga, I'm glad the developer stuck to something a little more old school. My main problem with it on the whole is that whilst it looks like a Jet Set Willy game, Top Hat Willy moves and jumps differently, so
Yes.
it felt a little off to start with, and I wasn't a fan of enemies being able to pass through some platforms. Overall, this game plays and feels like Jet Set Willy from a parallel dimension. It has familiar enemies and rooms that are reminiscent of the original. Whilst I died a lot, I kept playing, so it's doing something right. So,
You know, he brought up a point that I wanted to bring up and totally forgot about. There are areas in this where you have to jump up to go, and you're almost sort of jumping in the background. You know what I mean? Like more like ramps.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It can be tricky.
It's tricky, and sometimes you want to get on the stairs, and the stairs don't want to be gotten on.
And also, he mentioned something here that this wouldn't really affect us as much, because let's face facts, you've had a cup of coffee with the Spectrum games, and I've played them a little more. But if you're a real hardcore Jet Set Willy player, or you're a Manic Miner, he's right. This guy doesn't move or move around like Jet Set Willy, and so there will be a learning curve. That doesn't mean he moves poorly, but I think he moves better. But if you're used to and of course in those games, you have to have that pixel perfect jumping, and if you've programmed yourself to do well at those, that can make this game more of a challenge early on, but you'll get the hang of it.
Absolutely. We got another review here from Z9K9, whose playthrough we're watching right now. He says, a most agreeable new Willy, pumped up to nearly twice the original size and hardness. This does a good job of adapting the pixel-perfect platforming to a higher resolution, less tiptoeing on edges, more timing and reactions. Everything moves faster and you find yourself zooming quite nicely around the big house. The map maintains the variety and ingenious routing of the Spectrum game. Whether you're getting pleasantly lost in exploration or knuckling down, joystick firm in hand as you attempt to reach completion, this is a very pleasant game all around, 8 out of 10.
Nice double entendres there as well.
What?
You didn't catch those?
No.
Yeah, don't bother reading that again.
No.
Yeah, I agree. Good stuff. Good, and of course he would love it. He was great at it. So there you go. So that right there is our look at the Top Hat man. Top Hat Willy. Now, of course, this is public domania. We don't do one game, but that's suckers. We do we double up.
Double up.
And so it's like you got to do this too when you do it. So with that said, bam! It's time for our second choice. It's Microbes.
Yep.
How apropos.
Yep.
It's Microbes time. Bo, have you ever played this game?
No. No.
So, Microbes, published in '92. Now, this was one of the disc games that came in a magazine. In this case, it was Amiga format, number 35, Disc B. Disc B. It's funny, I was going to put a picture of the disc up on the screen to make it look all cool, but all I had on it was utilities, and in tiny letters it said Microbes. Like it's the teeny tiniest letters. Like, screw that. This one was this was developed by a real outfit and made by real people. Not to disparage the Top Hat Willy people. I guess I sort of did, didn't I?
Except for the burial there.
Developed by Vision, and we don't mean the Avenger. So Vision actually did a bunch of games. I couldn't believe this. That developed, including Robo, Breathless, Crash and Burn. They did the Dragon's Lair 1 and 2 games. Gnome, Prime Mover, which I remember we played that on here. Roadkill, which we played. Ultimate Pinball Quest, which we played. Woody's World. Did we play Woody's World?
Yeah. Well, I played it on the ultimate ranking of Amiga platformers.
Oh man, you need to bring that series back. They're all great. And Seek and Destroy. They did a lot, and this was coded by Paul Andrews. Paul Andrews did Cybernetics, Gnome, Kiro's Quest, Roadkill, Seek and Destroy, Woody's World, and another couple of our faves from back in the day, Zombie Apocalypse 1 and 2.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Still think about Joe the Zombie Hour Power.
Hour Power. It's one of the few things I remember from that year. The graphics were done by a fellow named Rodney Smith. He pretty much did most of what we talked about here. Plus, he also worked with Skidmark series, Series 7 and Overkill, and the music from Blair, Zapikchich, who worked on Cybernetics, Roadkill, Seek and Destroy, Woody's World, as well. So pretty much this was almost like a team that worked together here. I guess these guys were all part of Vision. I looked into Vision. I didn't really find out a whole lot about it. Did you find anything out about Vision?
Well, I found out that this game was originally supposed to be a commercial release.
I assumed that, frankly.
they ran into trouble. They released a game called Gnome for a publisher called Linnell.
Yeah, it's Lionel.
Is it Lionel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, that's a different publisher. I've never seen that one before.
Yeah.
My bad.
And so in Linnell, whatever. They've released tons of games, some of which we've played, some of which look pretty good. Remember we were supposed to play Traders that one week? That's the only time we've had to change the game because nobody could get it to work.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I forgot. That was a long time ago.
They also did Never-Ending Story 2.
False advertising.
So, but anyway, they ran into trouble because I guess they didn't get paid after they released Gnome. And so they're like, screw you guys, we're making this thing PD, and we're going to rake in the big bucks.
Well, they didn't really make it PD. It was on a magazine. So
well, that's true.
You yourself told me that the magazines paid the top dollar.
They did. They paid top dollar.
Do you really believe that?
I think that they probably paid more than a lot of people made making the game and releasing it.
I'm just saying, why did they put it in tiny letters?
Listen,
I would have been like, Microbes!
That's a different team that does all the art,
I guess
so
right.
You never know. But anyway, that was basically the backstory that I found was that this game came about as a result of a publishing dispute with Lionel.
You know, they've got this listed on Lemon as shareware. But I mean, I guess I'm assuming this is the full version.
Well, when you start the game, it says please send us some money.
I saw that, but I mean
that's what shareware is.
Oh, I see. So it's the full version. See, for me, once I see that, I tune that out. I saw that, and they kind of guilt you a little bit.
Yeah,
it's like we desperately need.
Well, what they said is that all the money that we get from this sale, we're going to pour into the next game.
Yeah,
and
well,
so,
I hope it worked out for them.
Yeah.
So, Microbes, I like this even mentioned when you boot it up. Microbes is a loving tribute to Tempest.
Yeah.
In a way. Now, Tempest, holy smokes, this is a game that used Atari's incredible color vector graphics in the arcade, and was really the game that popularized the dial as a game control. Holy mackerel, what a great game that was. I mean,
all-time classic.
And one of the hardest games to keep running, because I know people in Milton and a couple other places that have these things that own them. Man, those color vector monitors are, oh man, they're expensive to fix too, brother.
I bet.
So, of course, this isn't a color vector game. In fact, this deviates quite a bit from the actual Tempest formula.
Yeah, I was going to say, aside from you being, on a circular track around the stage, that's where the similarity with Tempest ends.
It's sort of like Tempest and Gyrus had a son, and then Dr. Mario walked in.
Right, right. It's not. You're not wrong.
What a weird combo that is. So, Bo, explain to the people what's going on here.
Okay, so you can the way that I've heard this described, and I don't know if this is canon or not. I'm not sure how.
Don't do that while I'm drinking. It's canon. Get it out.
So there's you can kind of picture yourself as a microscopic warrior. Have you ever seen the movie Inner Space?
No.
Okay. Well, there's a movie where this guy had to shrink himself way down low to do battle with this
Isn't Martin Short in that?
One of those guys,
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum, whoever. So there's in that movie, you get shrunk down in a spaceship and you go and you do battle with evil microbes. Well, you can imagine yourself doing the same thing here, except you're inside a petri dish and you're only allowed to traverse the edges of the petri dish.
Yeah.
In the center of the petri dish, you've got the microbes themselves, but then you've also got viruses, and the viruses spawn out of the microbes.
Yeah.
So the microbes are like these pulsating orbs, and every once in a while they will disappear and a virus will spring forth and travel towards the edge of the screen. The microbes themselves also multiply. So you're battling things that are coming towards you, sort of floating towards you in the viruses.
Yeah.
But then you're also battling the microbes, which are sort of growing organically from the center of the screen. Your job is to shoot everything.
Yeah, that's it. I never thought of this as a petri dish until you said that, but yes, absolutely. That's exactly what it could be. You're looking at maybe you're looking through a microscope. Maybe you're controlling this thing. We should have wrote the backstory for this.
That's true.
That would have been awesome. Now, the game has controls that are a little bit different for a game. It's left and right controls, and they basically spin you around. And that's the way you do it, by the way.
Right.
And then you've got, I believe it's hitting up will actually detonate your mega bomb or whatever.
This is another game where there are two types of bombs.
Okay.
Okay. If you hit up, then you detonate the bomb that kills the microbes.
Yeah.
If you hit down, you detonate the bomb that kills the viruses.
No kidding.
Yeah, there's two separate smart bomb
Where's
controls
the second listing of the number for the other bomb? I didn't know. I didn't realize. Oh, you mean it's the same bomb?
It's the same bomb.
Oh, yes, I understand that. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I was confused what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
What did you think of how this thing played? I mean,
Well,
did you
I want to talk a second about how it looks.
Oh, please, yeah.
This is yet another nail in the coffin for all you AGA apologists out there.
Oh, here we go.
Because this game is super duper mega colorful.
Yeah.
It is so colorful, and the way the colors are used. I mean, this looks like it could be an arcade game. This looks so good. It looks so good. And the way that the explosions happen, the way that all of these, you've got to see this game to believe it. If you're listening to the audio version, stop what you're doing right now. Stop your car, pull out your smartphone, and look at how colorful this game is. This game, and it's not just the colors, it's the way that it uses the gradients. It uses gradients in a good way, not the bad AGA way. This game is probably the most colorful, best-looking shooter I've ever played on the Amiga.
If I had a nickel, first time I heard that.
I'm just saying it's true.
This is the best something. I'd be a millionaire.
I'm just saying it's true. Now, this game is not the most exciting shooter that I've ever played in my life. This game, it starts you out and you're basically shooting these things that are growing very slowly from the center of the screen. And you sort of expect that something else is bad that's going to happen. But for a long time, you can shoot those things and nothing else occurs, okay?
Yeah.
And then eventually the viruses come out, and then you shoot them, and then it's the end of the level.
Right.
And then you do that again, and you do it again. You do it 5 or 6 times, and then you start getting these sort of blockades, these barriers on the screen that impede the way that you can shoot the viruses, okay? And so you've got to come up with clever ways to shoot around those things, but the core of the game is still the same. The problem with this game, and this is sort of a controversial opinion from me, given I think this game is too easy. I think you can get too far in this game before it starts to get difficult.
It's got to be one of the only times you've ever said it on this show.
Yeah.
It's funny you should say that because I actually got a review for this. I'll go ahead and talk about it. It's Amiga Power number 15. They actually reviewed this game, which is funny considering it was on another Amiga magazine's disc. But they only give it like a 1 out of 5. And the reviewer, I read the review, I'm like, man, he can't, because I looked at it, I hadn't played it yet, and I was like, why'd he kill it? And he says almost identically to what you said. This looks great, it's a Tempest knockoff, it feels good, plays good. He goes, wait a minute, I can crush this game without even paying attention? Nah, too easy, way too easy.
It's fine. I'm glad that I wasn't the only one that thought that.
I didn't think it was mega easy, but I mean, once you learn how to control your smart bombs, and you've got a shield in this, and so anytime one of the germs gets to the edge of the petri dish, I guess as you call it, it gets into your shield. And so you've got to kind of continuous. That's one big difference from Tempest, where they could come out, you just had to avoid them. In this, they actually affect your shield.
Right.
You know, and so you've got to make them stay inside the circle. But I mean, still, your shield is pretty. They give you a goodly amount of shield.
They do, and they give you a goodly amount of men when you start the game too.
Yeah, they do.
The thing that is great about Tempest is that it's manic. I mean, from the get-go, you're spinning around. Now, you can't do that with this game. I think one of the problems, the reason why Tempest has struggled to always have a good home conversion is because you have to slow the game down because it's impossible to play the game at the speed you played in the arcade with a joystick rather than a dial. With the dial, you can make these precise movements.
Yeah.
And you just can't do that with the joystick.
It'd be great to have a dial.
It would be. It would be. And so, I can't fault these guys for making the game easier than Tempest. I just would have liked to have seen the difficulty ramp up maybe at stage 3 instead of stage 5 or 6.
I think they dropped the ball full stop on the enemies in this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind the idea of shooting at micros, but I just don't like the way that they lay them out. There's a lot of just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, and we mentioned Gyrus before, but Gyrus is a great game that's sort of the same concept of a ship going around a circle and shooting stuff that comes out. That's a much more interesting game to play. It's much more action-packed. It doesn't meander. Like, this game meanders.
Yeah.
And you can get power-ups and stuff and shield buffs and extra men from some of the stuff you shoot. But for the most part, you're just shooting stuff until stuff comes out of what you shot and starts floating towards the edge of the screen. And you go over and try to kill it. It's not blow away.
What I would have liked to have seen is that the microbes maybe the microbes grow back. Like, I don't like the fact that the microbes act like asteroids and they split in two when you shoot them. What I would have liked to have seen is a faster growing pool of microbes that are destroyed in one shot. And they're constantly inching their way forward. And then the viruses, I think that you're not adding anything by having them split in half. I just like to see them grow faster.
I can think, listen, and I think you'll agree with me here. The bones are there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
This. What you're missing is a dynamic thing to shoot at, all right? And I can think of a bunch of different ideas, okay? Number one, you're staying with the whole microbes thing. Just make them more interesting. Give me some virus cells that look cool. They look like monstrous looking that come out. Stuff that really scoops around. Or, how about this? Scrape all that off. You can use this you can make a really interesting sort of puzzle game out of this.
Mm-hmm.
If you
you can make like a bust a move.
Or even
game.
like how about a round 360 Arkanoid?
Yeah.
You could do it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, instead of bouncing a ball, you're shooting the blocks.
Right.
You can do that.
Absolutely.
There's this sort of setup gives a thought to a lot of interesting things. What about, remember that the Amiga CD32 game where you go into the body and you shoot that stuff? You could, and that's sort of what they're doing here, but you could make how about some big red blood cells floating around or some of that. Now, to be fair, this is a public domain game. And so we're having this conversation about a public domain game because this game excels well past the public. We're treating this like a proper game.
Because it should have been a proper game.
Because it's good.
Yeah.
In its current state, it's worth your time.
And I can't tell you, I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm still in awe of the colors.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think the graphics are anything to write home about.
Well,
they're just listen, and your whole AGA baloney speech. Listen,
there's no baloney about it.
There's nothing here that you couldn't do on any machine.
That's insane.
In terms of the colors, it's just different colors.
Do you think the C64 could do this?
Yeah,
You're
insane.
insane.
I think it could.
You're
I think
insane.
the C64 could do it. Hey, I'm just telling you. I'm not as. I mean,
show
the
me
most colorful game ever. Come on, bud.
Show me an AGA shooter that can approach this from 500 yards.
What are you talking about in terms of graphical ability?
Anything.
It doesn't even be AGA. There's plenty of good shooters on here.
Not colorful like this.
No, I'm not buying it. What about Apidia? That's a beautiful. It's not AGA.
Apidia is not as colorful as this game.
Are you kidding me?
Look at all the different shades on the screen at every one time.
There's a lot of black on the screen.
You're in a petri dish. They're all black.
What? No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
They're see-through.
Well, sometimes they're
So what
black.
are you sitting? What are you looking down into a microscope into the void? Is that what you're doing?
Sometimes they do that.
Get that out, Boat. You're best of this and best of that.
I do want to say that the whole petri dish idea, I did double check this. I got that from this book that Pixels at Dawn actually told me about called The Ultimate Guide to Amiga PD Games. This is by General Editor Christian Clark. I picked this up on the Amazon a while back, and I found it to be...
You picked it up where?
On the Amazon.
On the Amazon. What were you doing down there?
And I found this to be an invaluable guide to lots of different public domain games.
I don't have access to this.
Well, you better pay your $2.
Who got you that?
I got it myself.
Oh, you bought it?
I bought it.
I didn't know it existed, Boat.
Yeah. So
is that the most colorful book you've ever seen?
No, it's black and white.
It's like, do you work for the Golden Globes? You should present all the awards. This is the best film I've ever seen. Here it is, Porky.
Listen, I'm for hire. They can call me.
Oh, I know you're for sale. There's no doubt about that. But I think we can both agree that this is a game that's a good game. Slightly missed opportunity. And by the way, I also want to get in that sometimes the microbes sort of remind me of very, very tiny demons from Demon Attack.
Mm-hmm.
Never a bad thing in that case.
We did get a review on this one, Aaron.
Oh, go.
Z9K9 writes, gliding around the circle and carving up the microbial butter with your laser knife are good sensations at first.
Who wrote this?
But the tendency for your auto fire to fail, it happens when your shots reach the middle without hitting anything, I think. Feels random and irritating. I agree, Z9. The game's not very difficult, and as the levels drag on, the simple actions get repetitive. I'd have liked a way to deliberately bend my shots to reach inaccessible targets in cool golfer style, instead of just having to wait for the cells to hatch. 5 out of 10.
That was Z9.
That was Z9, yeah.
That opening line, Z9.
The microbial butter.
Holy
Did you enjoy that?
Smokes. You know, this got I should mention, this got a 6.59 on Lemon. I didn't mention this earlier, but Top Hat Willy, not on Lemon.
Really?
And it's also not on Hall of Light. How did that not get on there?
That's crazy.
Because I couldn't find it. I guarantee there's going to be a link coming.
No.
Here's why you're dumb, Aaron. It's going to be the link. So I think we had a couple. I'm going to go on a limb here and say we had a couple winners.
I'm going to say this was the best
public
domain.
No. Didn't our game of the year come from a public domain? So, by the way, say that to yourself. I've never thought about that until the exact second. I never thought I'd say those words. So we love public domain all of a sudden, Boat.
We do. And of course, we love our Amigos Game Selection Committee for choosing these titles for us. Now, Aaron,
well done.
It's time for a little bit of unboxing.
Well,
mayhem.
It's not really. I wouldn't call it unboxing. It's more like an unbagging.
You want to switch the scene too?
I am.
All
I'm going to, Boat. Thank you, Director Boat. Are you the best director we've ever seen as well?
Yeah. Well, do you have to ask?
Why do I set myself up? So I got a package in the mail. You know, I don't know if anybody saw a little show I did, Boat, and it was a little thing I like to call the magazine rack. And so someone sent me another magazine to cover on the magazine rack. And that fellow is a good friend of ours named Popsies. And so he sent me, Boat. Now here's one for you. This is an Amiga related, but how hope you can see that.
Oh my God.
Hold on, let me show the people.
Okay.
Don't touch it.
Listen, I'm gonna run out of here with that.
Bam.
Thing.
It's the MSX Club, y'all. The MSX, by the way, comes with disc.
Yeah.
Here, he sent me.
Now, this is a new magazine. This is September through December 2021. What did he write in the letter there?
He sent me a note here. He says, hi, Aaron. I hope this finds you well, and I hope you have fun reading the magazine. There's a great article on Web MSX, the JavaScript-based emulator, also made in Brazil. This is from Brazil, by the way.
Really?
There's a website you can go to play some games directly in your browser. I recommend the two games Nightmare and Kings Valley. Have a great day and keep up the good and entertaining work. And give my best regards to Boat, the Brent, and the rest of the team. Here's some regards, Boat.
Thank you.
P.S. Here's the part that's scary. I've been binging on your back catalog. Oh, man. But I think I'm running out of videos and podcasts that I haven't seen, listened to yet. So, please do keep making more. First of all, that's baffling that he's gotten through our whole back catalog.
Wonderly is what we call an Amigos All-Star. Because he supports every single one of our shows.
Yeah.
Every single one.
It's when he told me, he's like, hey, would you mind if I see this? I was like, are you kidding me?
The MSX, man.
Yeah, and so that's kind of neat.
I hope that's in English and not in Portuguese.
It doesn't matter. Listen, I can read a little Portuguese.
That I would love to see.
Oh, well, listen, don't ask me to speak it. Listen, my years of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu have finally paid off, though. What do you say we get into some hot video action, Bo?
Okay, man.
That sounds pretty good to you. Here we go. So, another week's gone by, and you know what that means. Myself and the Brent in this very room.
Together forever.
Did a little video I like to call the Commodore Pet Boat. It's the Pet. I learned a lot about the Pet this week. I'm not going to lie to you. I straight up loved this episode. It was one of my favorite ones we've done recently. I didn't know jack squat about the Commodore Pet. And I learned a lot, and we played a bunch of games this week. We only did 2 on the show, but we actually got to sit around and play a bunch. But I learned a ton about how the Pet was born. You know what happened. I go through a big long history segment. I'm not gonna lie, but I enjoyed it, and people seem to like it. Then we tried 2 games. Mine was called Fire, and Brent's, on the other hand, was called Meteorites. I learned something else, by the way. In fact, someone in chat told me this. A lot of the games I was talking about had exclamation points at the end, so I just assumed that the games were exciting. Wrong. That's how they would determine if the Pet game had sound.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you mention that on the show? I did, glazed over
because
that.
Someone in the chat room, it could have been Hermsky or Paul, one of these guys, they said, hey, dummy, bam. I was like, I didn't know.
Wow.
So live and learn. Anyway, if you want to learn about if you're like me, kind of a dumb guy that wants to learn about the Pet from another dumb guy, so you don't feel quite as dumb, this is the show for you. And the Brent once again comes through with a real winner of a game. Me, well, let's go here. Boat, tell us about the Coco show this week.
So the Coco show debuted Draconian. Most of the time you get some ports to the Coco that are sort of derivative or just exact copies of the original game.
That was great.
Draconian is a exception to the rule in that it takes the Bosconian formula and actually makes it better.
Yeah.
This is a better game.
It's way better than Bosconian.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
So if you're interested in seeing this unique take of space action with a giant flying space dragon, Check out our episode of Draconian the Coco Show. Always a good time.
By the way, that's the next T-shirt. I want that dragon, right? You know what I'm saying?
That dragon and the logo right there.
You
the
put,
big O.
no, I want the full dragon,
okay.
and I want that over, like under it or over it. That would be
man.
awesome.
I can make it happen.
Boat's the T-shirt master. I really enjoyed this one, Boat. I'm a big fan of that game. Well, I've been dreading it, but let's get into it. So, just for no good reason this week, I finally got around to releasing my Barbie stream from right around January. I think when I did this. This was where, you'll recall that myself, when we had Megathon, I made a deal that if a certain amount of money was met, I would do a Barbie stream, which people were driving me nuts, and you'll recall, to do one. And so they crushed my amount, so I had to do one. And so this was it. With that thrilling and uplifting tale, here I went. Well, it happens that Frodo did a Barbie stream before I did, and he did everything that the Mister could handle. So I thought, well, I don't want to go over the same stuff that Frodo did. So I did Barbie games from the PlayStation era, and the PlayStation era produced some god-awful Barbie. Let's just put it that way. I guess none of it's that good. I do go back and catch a Genesis prototype Barbie game as well, for all you Barbie prototype fans. So if you want to watch a goofball play a bunch of Barbie, and which clearly not too many people were keen on watching that, but it's here for your perusal if you want to watch me play some Barbie games, Boat. So next on the docket, and I was here for this one, our good buddy, the Flaxter, Jack Flack. He's bringing back Cactus Flax.
Yeah.
I know you've been hounding him.
Yeah, I hound him every day.
So you're the one.
Yep.
For years, both days, like, where's the Cactus Flax, which was Flax's old podcast, where he went through all the video games, the arcade games that he ever owned. Mm-hmm. And this time out, he'll be talking about one of my personal favorites. I mean, sincerely, and that's Karate Champ. I love this game. When it came out in the arcade, I couldn't believe how awesome it was. Especially the 2-player version with the 4 joysticks. A unique control system that has never been equaled in terms of the abilities to play with no buttons.
I've been meaning to ask you about this forever. Did you ever play against Master Don?
No, I never played against any masters in video games. They didn't do that crap. They would have chopped the board in half. But this, I was into karate. I've always been into old karate, chop suey, kung fu movies. Mm-hmm. So when this came out, I was like, please. And the thing about it is, it does a good job of simulating like a pretty realistic fight.
Right.
Now the part where you fight the bull and they chuck plants at you and stuff, it's a little bit unrealistic, I'll grant you that. Even the guy they've got judging, I've seen judges. He looks like Ron Jeremy, to be honest with you. I mean, same haircut, same porn stash. Cool voice.
I always thought that was his frown. Do you think that's a frown?
That's a mustache. No, that's a mustache.
Okay.
But there's nothing more satisfying than when the computer tries to bring some cheap crap in at you. You jump up in the air, kick him right in the face, and that guy's full point. You're like, oh, I just love it. So Flag.
We're gonna have to go back to the arcade in Huntington. They've got one of those set up over there.
Yeah. That's right. And the thing here's listen. I'm gonna go off for a minute. Everyone loves it. Everybody loves the international karate. Also. First of all, these things are rip-offs of this.
Yeah.
And they're poor rip-offs.
And international karate, not that good.
And that crap, hey, let's get a third guy in there.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
That was the worst decision that's ever been made.
What are we doing here? And everyone loves that game. Everyone loves it.
I think it's because they never played Karate Champ.
No, they've played it. They know what they're doing.
What are they doing?
They're grabbing hold of this one thing. I was Archer McLean, whoever did that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everybody loves it.
That's true.
But
it's
that
the whole
game,
Joss Whedon thing with Archer.
No good. I never liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I never liked it. I didn't like. I mean, it's okay, but I remember the first time I played. I'm like, wait a minute, we can't turn off this third guy. What is this? And it was what that is crap. This is better. Yeah. Flack also goes on to just to play a bunch of MAME games that start with K. Sure, why not? He picked some titles that I've never heard of. Mostly martial arts stuff, but he also gets into some stuff. I think he did the
Karopi.
Oh, you knew that one?
Yeah.
Now here's one we both like.
Yeah,
Kick.
I love Kick.
Another game with the dial.
I believe that this is another game from 1984, the greatest year of arcade games ever.
Oh man, there you go. So there you go. A look at Flax Sprite Castle Karate Champ, and look for Cactus Flax real soon. It should be coming out within the next week, presumably. And I think it's going to be on, guess what? Karate Champ. Now, this just under the wire. He's back. I was worried about this because we hadn't seen the conclusion. But our good pal, Frodo and L, has posted his final look at the Looney Tunes games, and I believe the entirety of this 2 hours and 45 minutes is Tiny Toons games. Were you into the Tiny Toons when you were younger? Really?
Because I was in 5th grade when that was new, so that was right in my peak cartoon watching age. I can still sing the theme song.
Go.
We're tiny, they're toony, they're all a little loony. Oh.
Tiny Toons adventures are about to start. Something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're close enough.
They're Babs and Buster Bunny, Montana Max's money. Elmira is a pain. It's a rejected. Expect the unexpected. Yeah, I used to know it. At Acme University, we earn our Toon degree. Our teaching staff's been getting left since 1933. Yeah.
You should have done a Patreon of that.
That would have been good.
That would have been.
I think I've already actually done that.
Did you?
Yeah.
I hope we knew the lyrics.
Like I told you in that message, I'm out of material.
There you go.
When I'm done the Animaniacs theme song, I'm. Are
you going to start doing retro games like we do on the other thing? Anyway, I'll flip through some of these because I had to because I like Tiny Toons. And Frodo, first of all, Frodo has the most jacked up, on point streaming of anybody.
Yeah.
He's got all kinds of icons. He's got contests.
Animated
He's
emoji.
Got crazy stuff flying all over the screen.
Yep.
It's like watching a video game.
Hype trains.
Yeah, he's got it all. And plus, it's Frodo.
Right.
It's got charisma coming out the yin yang. And so he plays a lot of these Looney Tunes games, stuff on the Game Boy all the way up. Some of these look pretty good. And by the time Tiny Toons was out, they sort of had to care more, I think, about some of these.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to find probably some of your better games amongst this collection. And this will take Frodo to the house on these Looney Tunes. So I don't know what he's got in store next week, but we'll find out. But always check out Frodo stuff and absolutely catch his live streams because they're very entertaining. Unfortunately, since he's in a whole different time zone to me, his stuff always comes on like when I'm getting out of bed or when I'm at work, stuff like that. So I don't get to watch him that much. Every once in a while I get to catch one. But thankfully he posts them here. So there you go. I think, Boatster, that is all we've got, my friend.
Well, we did have a new podcast debut on the old Amigos Retro Gaming Network anchor page. Rob Flack O'Hara debuted the new episode of Like a Dog.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
The Incredible Machine.
And he had a stream, I think it was last week, to accompany that. Is that one you played back in the day?
Never. I never played it. I played a game like it, but it wasn't that one.
I gave it a shot, and I was never good at it because I'm too dumb. You see, I do like those Rube Goldberg machines. Those are fun to watch.
I thought one of the most interesting things about that episode was that there's a different guy named Rube Goldberg.
You told me that off. You were like, I can't believe that.
I just think it's like a parallel universe. Like Heathcliff Huxtable is the name of it in Great Britain.
That would be weird. That would be a weird one, Boat. So yes, check out Like a Dog.
Yeah.
Man, Flack's he's doubling up on new ones, or I guess he's bringing back one, but still, it's new to me. So check out I'll get all the Flack stuff. Get a Pixel Guide in. They just had a new one drop last week, and of course, yours truly, myself, the Boat, and Brent. We got stuff. If you haven't subscribed to our podcast, y'all get in there. Someone asked why we don't do audio versions of Ask the Amigos. We do. They're on there. Yeah. Everything's on there.
Everything's on there. So, Aaron, as we move forward towards the end of the show, I'd like to congratulate all of our Patreon song winners of last week's contest. Of course, last week was the full X-Copy release.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Behind Blue Eyes by The Who and a lesser extent Limp Bizkit. Were you a big fan of the LB?
Wait a minute. You put Limp Bizkit in there?
Some people wrote in saying it was by Limp Bizkit.
Oh, good God, no. My buddy Jerry based our entire vampire campaign on that song.
Oh, I thought you were going to say on Limp Bizkit.
No.
That would have been much better.
No, that would have been in a Jerry. So, yeah, I like that song. If you don't like that song, what are you doing?
How do you base a vampire campaign off that song?
Hey, you have to have a lot of imagination.
That's true. You got to have a lot of imagination to play vampires. So, Rob O'Hara. First, right out of the gate.
I thought you were just randomly saying a name. Bill Smith, come on down.
Barkbit got it. Blip Blop, Terry Howard. L. Curtis Boyle.
Yeah. Did you lock up? What's going on?
L. Curtis Boyle.
Oh, this again? I don't have to hail him on every show, do I?
Do you not?
I see him all the time on TSI. I don't say, "Oh, hail you."
TSI Matt. Mitsuyama. Andy Craig. Bernard Lucas. And R. Typer.
I thought I was going to reset you. Somebody reboot both. He locked up.
That may happen one day.
Knucklehead.
So, going forward, we are going to save the Patreon songs for the full band. We got 2 full bands. We got the June Bugs and we got the X Copy. They're going to be cranking out Patreon song tunes for you. But every once in a while, there will be a week where there'll be no Patreon song. Starting the next time that this happens, there will be a nice little video that plays at the end of the song, or at the end of the show, that thanks all of our Patreon subscribers.
You're going to make this video?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then
No,
I'm in favor of it.
I'm going to suddenly make it appear by magic.
No, listen, you never know. We've got other people that make videos.
Yeah.
What about Anthony with that cool video he made for ATV?
Yeah.
When's that coming back, by the way?
It's coming back soon.
Oh, beautiful.
It's coming back soon.
What a video. Thank you, Anthony.
And Anthony is also making one of those for our Amigos Retro Gaming Network Twitch page. That's going to be our new trailer video.
I like it.
So
I like that.
So anyway, we thank you guys for watching us. We will see you next time. But first, we got to announce what we're playing next week. Aaron, what do we got on the docket?
Well, let's find out. Uh-oh, I know what next week is.
Oh, Speedball 2 Brutal Deluxe.
It's our rewind week.
That's right. It's a second look at Speedball 2. We covered this game way back. All of our rewind episodes, all of our second look episodes come to us from the first 50 episodes of Amigos from way back in 2015 and early 2016, Aaron.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. It's been a while.
You know, I was telling both that I used to own this very box, this very game, but I sold it for big money.
Yeah.
Well, it was before we even did the show. But I actually bought this in the store with Aaron bucks. This is what I actually physically paid for. I drove down to Canal City and put the money down. There you go.
We will see you next time for Speedball 2 Brutal Deluxe. And until then,
Adios.